Sexual pleasure, a Jewish ideal. I actually chose that topic because I knew it would get your attention. But I think it's an important question as well, right? Relates to the mitzvah of bris milah in our parsha. I think the answer to the question simply is that yes, it is a Jewish ideal. It's actually one of the three things that the man is obligating himself to when he signs a ksuba, right? Share, ksus, and ona. Right? You have to provide sustenance, you have to provide clothing, and you have to commit to being with your wife. Right? Those are the three things you actually commit yourself to in the ksuba while you are married. The Gemara has discussions, right? Traveling salesmen, people on boats, right? What is their obligation? How often do they have to come home to be with their wives? The backdrop of that, of course, it's striking that the Rambam sees maybe a very different perspective, and he anchors it in the mitzvah of bris milah, right? The Rambam, in dealing with the question of why is there a commandment to remove the foreskin, he says two things, right? The first thing he says is that we should have a permanent sign on our bodies dedicating ourselves to God, right? And that should be equal for everybody, right? Sounds good until you ask yourself two questions. Why specifically there, right, on a sexual organ? And number two, right, what about the women? Right, if everyone should have a sign on their body, a reminder of sorts, so why on the men and not on the women? And therefore, he goes one step further. This is a piece in the Moreh Nevuchim, where he says, and again, there are many controversial pieces, as we know in the Moreh Nevuchim, that the foreskin is removed specifically, right, from the sexual organ to diminish pleasure from the sexual encounter, right? That the Rambam does not see sexual pleasure as a Jewish ideal, and therefore to limit it, to curb, desire, enjoyment, etc., the foreskin is removed. Right? I think that that's a rare position, certainly a minority position. And Rav Kook, to this I owe Hanan Porat, because I see the quotations from Rav Kook in his work. I've tried to read Rav Kook, but it never gets me anywhere. Right? He shifts the focus of the Rambam, and he writes, it's not to limit or curb the pleasure, but the language he used is he ba le'adein et ta'avat hamin. Right? Ta'avat hamin is sexual desire. Le'adein, adinut, is to, it's almost from the language of being pleasant, of calm, right? That it's not some crazy animalistic ideal, but one should remember that there is a spiritual component to relations as well. And that, of course, is having children, of imitating God, of continuing the human species, right? That's an important reminder and a very important message as well, right? And that's a piece, just a quote from a longer piece in Rav Kook. Right? And that's why there is a bris. It's to remove a layer of flesh to remind us that this is not just a matter of the flesh. Right? It is a matter of the flesh, and there's no issues with enjoying it. But there is another piece of this, right, which is a holy piece of having children, again, of imitating God and populating the world, bringing more, bringing more Jews and more people into the world. With that, so I'll end. Hanan Parah has a fascinating suggestion, and it's the first time I've seen something like it. Right? So then, why do men have this and not women? And he answers very simply, right? On a man, so you could, in theory, go your whole life without ever thinking about children, right? And just enjoy yourself in a hedonistic way. But a woman has a uterus, right? A woman has a reminder constantly that she has the ability to bear children, right? So if that's a reminder we have to impose on a man by removing the foreskin, he argues the women don't need that reminder, right? And in that sense, both men and women, have a piece, either a piece in their body or a piece removed, to remind us that while sexual pleasure certainly is an ideal, and it's a part of marriage, and it's a great part of marriage, right? It's a healthy part of marriage. We have to always remember that it's right. Everything that Hashem gives us is part of our right mitzvah world. It's part of our spiritual journey. It's part of our holiness, and that there are holy components to this as well. Shabbat Shalom.